welcome back to another session of the Hopry. My name is Starr, and tonight I'm going to share a pretty special stout with you. This one comes from Avery Brewing Company. They are out of Boulder, Colorado, and I would say that most people in the craft beer world are familiar with this brewery. They do quite an extensive array of beers, if you will. This one is part of their barrel-aged series, and as of today there are only 3. This one's called their Black Tot. It is a barrel-aged imperial oatmeal stout. What makes this one a little bit more special to me, though, is that they don't use your traditional oak barrels, they don't use your traditional bourbon barrels, or even whiskey barrels to age this beer in. They age it in a rum barrel, and specifically it's from Gosling's, and I've actually got Gosling's Black Seal Bermuda rum here. As you can see, it's a rum I actually like. You use this to make Dark and Stormies, which is a combination of Black Seal Bermuda rum and ginger beer. If you're not familiar with ginger beer, it's not really a beer, it's more like a strong ginger ale, if you will. So really excited to see what that does to a beer like this. I will also tell you that this comes in a very limited run. I think there were probably, from what I could gather from the internet, there were only about 300 cases of this made. So it says actually right on the bottle, 315 cases made. So you can tell that's that's not very much beer. And so with that comes a pretty hefty price tag. I think I paid about $8.50 for this 12-ounce bottle. I don't normally spend quite that much money on beer, but hey, you know what? This is unique enough that I felt that I would, have a good time with it, get it on the show, and I don't know, let's see how it tastes. So I'm going to go ahead and bust the cap on it. Pretty good amount of smoke coming out of there, and I can smell it. So that's a good sign. Now tonight, and I don't normally use these, but I thought it'd be kind of a nice occasion to use one of my little snifters that I've got. Since we are kind of going into rum territory, I figured, what the hell, it'd probably be a good idea to do something like that. So I'm just going to pour a little bit in there. I only want enough, that I can swirl the glass and really kind of open up those aromas and set that bottle up there for you. So anyway, looking at the color, it's, traditional stout color, pretty much black. I mean, maybe the faintest amount of ruby red color around the edges, but not a whole lot. And this one isn't even an Imperial Russian stout or Russian Imperial stout. It's actually an oatmeal stout, which traditionally means it should be a little bit lighter. But the color is all Russian Imperial stout to me. The head on it doesn't look like it's hanging around very long. I'm going to go ahead and give it a pretty good swirl here, though, just to kind of help open up the beer, get some of those aromas kicking out, which I can smell. And again, when you use a snifter, because of the shape, it's going to push all of those aromas right to a smaller area. So I'm going to go ahead and get my nose in here. So I'm getting a lot of, obviously I'm getting a lot of the dark roasty malts. I'm not getting a whole lot of coffee. I'm getting a lot of the rum, and the rum comes across almost like a really strong, like a grape bubblegum juice. Not a whole ton of vanilla, which, hey, like I said, this isn't a traditional bourbon barrel or just a regular oak barrel, so I think that's really kind of bringing some interesting characteristics to it. A lot of caramel. I can actually smell a little bit of heat in there as well. This one sits in just a hair over 10%. I think it's 10.08, so it's pretty much right at 10%, but not a bad looking beer. It smells really good, so I bet it tastes good. So let's go ahead and try it. So getting some heat right off the front. I think this is obviously something that could rest, down in your basement for at least 8 months to a year, probably even a couple years, and I think you'll really lose a lot of that heat. Maybe I'll go back and pick up another one of these and let it sit just to kind of see how it tastes this time next year, but pretty good amount of viscosity on it. You can see it's really kind of gripping the sides of that glass, but even though there's, you know, a lot of rum taste going on in here from those barrels, I almost get a little bit of a smokiness as well. And when I say smokiness, I mean more along the lines of like a leathery, tobacco-y sort of flavor. Not so much like a smoked porter or smoked malts, but just kind of a cigar-like quality, I guess. And I'm really enjoying that a lot. It's a little high on the bitterness. You know, from what I read, I expected it to be really sweet, almost like a Southern Tier creme brulee or mocha or chocolate, or one of those beers that are just really big and syrupy almost. This one's not as syrupy as I thought it would be. Overall, not a bad beer. You know, again, I'm gonna say that this one will probably be a lot better with some age on it. These just showed up in our liquor store this past week, so it's still fresh, it's still new, still green, if you will. But anyway, having said that, I think it's a pretty good beer. I'm not gonna lie. I really am intrigued by the fact that they aged this in the rum barrels, because I think so many times, you know, we see beers out there that are aged in oak or bourbon, and you know, it's the same thing over and over. Now, I'm not saying that's bad by any stretch of the imagination, but I like that somebody's kind of, you know, thinking outside the box. You know, Russian River does a lot of their beers in old wine barrels, and I've always thought that that was really kind of a nice thing to add. It's kind of a, you know, a cross-pollination of wine and beer. This is just another one of those types of things as well. Really smell that rum a lot when you go to take a sip. It's like the aromas hit you and then the taste hits you. Now, I didn't even put this one in the refrigerator. I've actually had this one sitting on the concrete floor of my sub-basement because this time of year I think it makes stouts just about the perfect temperature, which for this one is probably, you know, 48 degrees, 48, maybe even 50 degrees, you know, closer to room temperature, but definitely lots of rum. I think, you know, I think it's a good combination. But well, anyway, guys, I'm going to sit here and finish the rest of this one, maybe do another session tonight. I'm not really sure. But anyway, wanted to thank you guys for coming back. Real quick, you probably noticed that I have recently switched over to Vimeo. Part of the reason I did that was that a lot of people were saying the videos were taking too long to load from YouTube on my website. So I'm going to give this, I'm going to give Vimeo a run for a little while and see how that changes it. I also don't have to monitor my time as much because, you know, I have unlimited time basically to post those. So hopefully I won't be keeping you guys too much longer, but anyway, just wanted to let you know that that's why I changed. So hopefully on my website now, if you're going to my website, which is www.thehopry.com, hopefully you'll have a little bit better experience with the videos loading, and they're still in HD, which is good. So, well, anyway, thanks a lot for coming back. We'll see you.